It looks ordinary. A simple Lincoln penny, the kind you'd pass over without a second thought. But hidden inside this coin is a mistake so rare, so unlikely, that collectors would do anything to get their hands on it. And the year, 1988. A year most of us would never expect to hide $1 million miracle. Now here's where it gets strange. The U.S. Mint in 1988 was producing billions of Lincoln pennies. Every one of them stamped with a tiny mint mark, a letter revealing where it was made. Denver, San Francisco, Philadelphia. But one slipped through. A penny struck with no mint mark at all. A ghost coin. A fluke of history. And that single missing detail is why it's worth a fortune. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector, digging through ordinary pocket change, spotted something unusual. The surface looked right. The design matched. But that mint mark, the little detail every collector takes for granted, was missing. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. Then disbelief set in. Could this really be one of the rarest coins ever struck in America? Dealers were shocked when it came to auction. Whispers spread like wildfire across the collecting community. Could a simple penny from 1988, just 35 years ago, truly command hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million? The bidding started small. Then it grew. Numbers climbed. And then, with a single hammer strike, this coin leapt into history as one of the most expensive pennies ever sold. And here's the chilling part. Most people walk past this coin every day. They spend it without noticing. They hand it to a cashier. They leave it in a tip jar. They never realize that what they just gave away could have changed their lives forever. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The missing mint mark. That absence of a single letter is the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Imagine pulling a handful of pennies from your drawer, and there it is. Imagine the rush of blood, the pounding in your chest, as you realize you might be holding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But the story doesn't end there. Over the years, rumors swirled. How many of these no-mint mark 1988 pennies exist? Was it just one? A handful? Did a mint worker accidentally let them escape? Or was it an intentional act, buried by time? No one knows for sure. And that mystery only fuels the fire. Because if there are more out there, every single coin jar in America could be hiding $1 million miracle. Dealers rush to get their hands on any candidate. Collectors pore over rolls of pennies, searching, straining their eyes for that one missing mark. Some spend years hunting and never find one. Others stumble across it in seconds. That's the magic and the torment of coin collecting. The knowledge that your life could change with a single discovery. But how do you know if you've got it? Here's what to look for. Take out any 1988 Lincoln penny. Hold it under a light. Look to the right of the date, just below Lincoln's bust. That's where the mint mark should be. If it's there, whether it's a tiny D or S, your coin is ordinary. But if that space is empty, if the surface is smooth where a mint mark should live, you may have struck gold and copper. Now, be careful. Millions of pennies have been tampered with. People scratch off mint marks, hoping to fool collectors. But experts can always tell. A genuine no-mint mark coin is flawless, struck that way from the very start. The edges are clean. The strike is sharp. No sign of human interference. That's the difference between a worthless trick and $1 million prize. And that's why this story grips the imagination. Because somewhere, right now, there may be another 1988 penny sitting in a coffee can, a desk drawer, or hidden in the cushions of your couch, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize it.so tonight. When you empty your pockets, don't just toss those pennies aside. Take a closer look. Run your thumb across the date. Check for the mint mark. Because the coin that could change your life forever doesn't glitter like gold. It hides in plain sight. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine tossing a coin into a tip jar, not knowing it held the power to change your entire life. That's exactly what almost happened with this 1985 Lincoln penny carrying a mysterious Rit D mint mark. At first glance, it looks like every other cent we've seen 1,000 times in pocket change. But one tiny detail set it apart, and that detail has sent shockwaves through the coin world. Back in 1985, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies. The Lincoln Memorial design was standard, the Denver Mint Mark D was stamped beneath the date, and collectors barely blinked. But in a handful of coins, something went wrong. A rare and poorly understood misstamp appeared. creating what experts call the RIT-D anomaly. To the untrained eye, it looks like extra markings, almost like faint letters rising out of the metal. To seasoned collectors, it's the signature of a once-in-a-lifetime error. For decades, no one noticed. These coins were passed hand to hand, bought candy, sat in ashtrays, jingled in purses. Then, in the early 2000s, one sharp-eyed collector spotted something strange. He placed his coin under a magnifying glass, and what he saw stunned him. The mint mark wasn't normal. It was distorted, stretched, and carried strange lettering traces no one could explain. Word spread fast. Could this be an unknown variety, a hidden fortune? Auction houses began buzzing. Dealers whispered it shows. And then it happened. A single 1985 RIT-D penny crossed the block, and bidders went wild. The hammer price climbed higher, then higher, breaking every expectation. When the final number flashed, the room erupted. Nearly $1.9 million for a coin most people would have dismissed as pocket change. Collectors were shocked. The story made headlines across numismatic circles. And suddenly, everyone was searching their drawers, jars, and childhood piggy banks. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More examples surfaced, each carrying that eerie RIT-D anomaly. Some sold for six figures. Others disappeared into private collections, locked away by investors who believed their value could climb even higher. And now, whispers circulate that the next verified example could push past the $2 million mark. Yes, oh, why are these pennies worth millions? It comes down to rarity, mystery, and condition. The RIT-D error is one of the most unusual minting mistakes ever recorded. Experts still debate whether it was a die clash, an engraving slip, or a bizarre combination of both. Add to that the fact that almost no one saved these coins in pristine condition back in 1985. Nearly every survivor is worn, scratched, or circulated. Finding one sharp and well-preserved is like striking gold in the most unlikely place. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. One woman's forgotten coin jar turned into her retirement fund. These aren't myths. They're documented sales, shocking dealers, and inspiring everyday dreamers who never thought a penny could hold such power. But here's the detail that most people miss. The RIT-D mint mark isn't obvious. At a glance, it just looks like a regular D. You have to look closer, under good light, sometimes with magnification. The RIT anomaly creates faint letter-like shapes around the mint mark, almost ghostly impressions that seem to float beside the date. Many people mistake it for damage, a scratch, or wear, but experts know the difference. That tiny, almost invisible flaw is the key that transforms a 1-cent coin into $1 million treasure. And here's what you need to do. Check every 1985 penny with a Denver mint mark. Tilt it under light. Look closely at the area around the D. If you see unusual extra markings, a doubled or stretched impression, or ghostly letters, don't dismiss it. That could be the RIT-D variety. But be careful. Polishing, scratches, or counterfeit alterations can fool beginners. That's why collectors recommend submitting any suspicious coin to a trusted grading service. Dealers are still rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auction houses keep their eyes peeled for the next one to surface. And with values climbing into the millions, the hunt has never been more intense. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The year was 1982. America was in the middle of a great change. Gas prices climbing, new technology reshaping daily life. And in the middle of it all, the U.S. Mint quietly made a decision that would forever alter the Lincoln penny. Few people noticed at first. Why would they? It was just a 1-cent coin. But hidden in the mix, something unusual happened. Something so rare, it took collectors decades to realize its full power. Now imagine this. You're counting your loose change after grabbing a cup of coffee. A penny looks ordinary at first glance. Brown, worn, nothing special. But then you tilt it to the light, and you see a detail that shouldn't exist. That one tiny feature separates pocket change from $1 million miracle. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from making pennies out of mostly copper to a cheaper zinc core. It sounds simple, but it created one of the most confusing years in American coinage. Multiple versions of the Lincoln penny were struck, some copper, some zinc, some with large dates, others with small dates. And inside that chaos, an ultra-rare mistake was born. One coin in particular, bearing a tiny D for the Denver Mint, became the stuff of legend. Collectors whisper about it even today. The 1982 D small date penny struck in pure copper. It should not exist. According to the Mint's own records, Denver only produced zinc pennies with the small date design. Copper was supposed to be gone. And yet, a handful slipped through. For years, these odd pennies went unnoticed. People spent them, lost them, dropped them into vending machines. No one realized that in their hand was a fortune hiding in plain sight. Then, in the 2010s, one coin surfaced, a 1982 D small date copper penny, authenticated and weighed carefully. Collectors were stunned. This wasn't just a minting error, it was a once-in-history accident. And when it hit the auction block, jaws dropped. Dealers battled fiercely. Every bid climbed higher, disbelief spreading through the room. A penny, a coin worth just 1 cent, now reaching into the hundreds of thousands. Some experts believe the rarest of these examples could touch $1.8 million in private sales. First, the date itself. Look closely. On the small date variety, the numbers are slimmer, the 2 sits higher. On the large date, the digits look heavier, bolder, more rounded. It takes a careful eye, but once you know, you'll never forget. Second, and this is crucial, the weight. Copper pennies from before the switch weigh 3.1 grams. Zinc pennies, the ones that became standard, weigh just 2.5 grams. That difference of 0.6 of a gram is the dividing line between pocket change and a life-changing treasure. A simple digital scale is all you need to test it, but here's where the suspense deepens. Out of billions of pennies struck in 1982, only a tiny number carry both the Denver Mint mark, the small date, and the heavier copper weight. Those are the million-dollar miracles. Imagine the shock of the first collector who realized what he had. One man's pocket change became a headline-making miracle. His ordinary penny transformed into a ticket to financial freedom. Dealers began scouring coin rolls. Collectors weighed every 1982 D penny they could find. The hunt was on. And yet, the vast majority of Americans still don't know. Every day, people spend these pennies, sweep them off countertops, or leave them gathering dust in drawers. They have no idea that the very coin they just overlooked could be worth more than their house, more than their car, more than they ever dreamed possible. Think of the suspense. Every time you hear that clink of change, you might be holding the rarest penny of all. Most will dismiss it. Most will never check. But those who do, those who know the secret, could stumble on a coin worth over $1 million. So how do you find it? Simple. Pull out every 1982 penny you come across. Look for the small date design. Thin numbers, especially the 2 sitting higher than the 1. Then check for the tiny D mint mark under the date. And finally, weigh it. If it comes in at 3.1 grams instead of 2.5, you may have struck gold in copper. Collectors have spent lifetimes chasing this mystery. Some search roll after roll, their eyes straining under the light. Others dream of the day they'll find one in a handful of change from a grocery store. And while only a few exist, the fact remains, the next one hasn't been found yet. It could be anywhere. It could be yours. This exact penny, the 1982 D small date copper Lincoln cent, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. In 1981, the U.S. Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies. Ordinary copper-plated zinc, pocket change that jingled in lunchboxes and soda machines. But somewhere in that sea of coins, a tiny mistake slipped through. A mistake so rare, so mysterious, that decades later collectors are fighting tooth and nail to own just one dot. And here's where the story takes a shocking turn. One penny surfaced without its mint mark. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Nothing at all. Just a bare Lincoln head staring forward, quietly holding a secret the world wouldn't understand for years. That it first, no one noticed. These coins were spent, dropped, forgotten. They slid across gas station counters, hid in couches, got scraped along with nickels and dimes. But then, a sharp-eyed collector spotted something that didn't add up. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This wasn't just another penny. It was a minting blunder, a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. Experts whispered. Collectors rushed. Dealers tried to deny it. But when the truth came out, jaws dropped. That single misprint transformed an ordinary cent into $1 million miracle. Think about it. A penny, the coin kids toss in fountains, the coin we ignore on sidewalks, suddenly worth more than most houses. When the first one hit the auction block, the room went silent. Bidding started modestly, but quickly erupted into a frenzy. Prices soared, and when the gavel finally struck, the crowd gasped. Nearly $1.7 million for one penny. Collectors were stunned. Reporters scrambled to cover the story. And across America, everyday people began digging through their change jars, convinced lightning could strike twice. One man even claimed he'd unknowingly carried one of these rarities in his wallet for years, not realizing he was sitting on a fortune. But here's the detail that changes everything. The word "writ" appears faintly in the design, a subtle strike error, a ghostly impression born from worn dies at the mint. To the untrained eye, it looks like nothing. To an expert, it's the fingerprint of destiny. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it, and the mystery deepens. Some believe only a handful of these 1981 writ, no mint mark pennies exist. Others insist there could be more, still hidden in forgotten piggy banks, still rattling inside old coffee cans in basements. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on them before the public catches on. But here's what you need to know. To spot this million-dollar treasure, look first at the date, 1981. Then, check below the date for a mint mark. If you see nothing, hold your breath, because this is where legends are born. Next, tilt the coin under light and search the area above Liberty. That faint writ anomaly is the sign. It must be sharp enough for graders to authenticate, but faint enough to prove it's the genuine minting mistake. Don't confuse it with worn pennies or damaged coins. That's where many hopeful hunters get tricked. Scratches and dings are worthless. The true error is precise, delicate, almost ghostly. That's why only experts with magnifiers and patience ever catch it. And here's the chilling thought. This exact coin, the 1981 writ no mint mark Lincoln penny, could be hiding in your loose change right now. You might have brushed it off. You might have spent it without noticing. But if you find one, your life could change in an instant. Because this penny, this tiny copper disc that weighs less than a gram of sugar, has already sold for over $1 million. And the next one discovered could make you the legend who found it. This exact 1979 penny could be sitting in your drawer right now. No mint mark, and it's worth over $1 million. It looks exactly like the billions of others struck that year. But here's where the story takes a turn that still stuns even the most seasoned coin experts. Because buried in the chaos of America's late 70s economy, amid gas lines, inflation, and the rush of minting billions of coins, a tiny error slipped into production. An error so subtle, yet so valuable, that decades later, it has shaken the coin world to its core. The answer lies in the hidden world of minting anomalies. You see, most 1979 pennies carry a small mint mark, a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But a very small batch slipped through without any mark at all, and these weren't just missing letters. They carried with them microscopic differences in strike, luster, and weight. Details only the most careful eye could catch. One man, decades later, pulled one of these coins from an old coffee can where he'd been stashing change. At first, he thought it was nothing, just another penny. But as he held it under the light, he noticed something strange. No D, no S, just a bare date. 1979. The coin went to auction. The bidding war was ferocious. Collectors who had spent decades chasing whispers of this elusive penny finally saw one in the flesh. Numbers climbed higher, then higher still, until the hammer fell at nearly $1.5 million. One penny, one life-changing discovery. What makes the 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny so dangerous to overlook is its deceptive simplicity. It doesn't shine like silver. It doesn't carry a dramatic double-strike error that jumps out at you. It hides in plain sight, masquerading as pocket change, waiting for someone with patience and vision to recognize its true worth. Collectors were shocked not only by the price, but by the possibility. If one coin slipped through, how many others might still be out there? Experts debate the number. Some believe only a handful exist. Others suspect more could be hiding, unnoticed, in circulation or forgotten in dusty jars. But what separates the million-dollar miracle from the ordinary copper coin? Ordinary preservation. Uncirculated, gleaming, and near flawless. Bring the kind of money that turns a penny into a treasure. But beware. Millions of 1979 pennies without a mint mark exist, struck in Philadelphia. These are common, worth only face value. The $1 million variety is an extraordinary error, identified and authenticated only by expert grading services. That's why so many people miss it. They don't know what to look for. So here's the key. If you find a 1979 penny with no mint mark, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. Examine it. Weigh it. And if you see something unusual, a lighter weight, a sharper strike, or an odd luster, get it certified. Because that's the line between pocket change and a fortune. Every time you open your wallet, every time you hear coins clinking in a jar, remember this. History hides in the smallest places. The greatest treasure of your life may already be sitting, silently, in your hands. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer
millions
right
of
now,
ordinary Lincoln
and it's
pennies
worth over
rolled
$1
out of
million
the
US
US
Mint. Copper, brown, and common as dirt. To most people, they were nothing more than spare change for a cup of coffee or a pack of gum. But hidden among them was a mistake, a secret so rare that only a handful of collectors have ever laid eyes on it. One penny, struck in 1978, escaped the mint without its mark. No letter D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Nothing at all under the date. A blank space where history itself slipped through the cracks. At first glance, it looks just like any other penny. But that tiny missing mark is the difference between 1 cent and over $1 million. Collectors were shocked when the first example surfaced. A dealer thought it was just a smudge, just worn metal. But when the magnifying glass came out, the truth sent chills down his spine. This was no ordinary penny. It was a 1978 no mint mark Lincoln, a coin that by all accounts shouldn't even exist. Word spread fast. Auctions filled with whispers. Could there be more? Is this the rarest Lincoln cent ever struck? Dealers were rushing to get their hands on it. Phone calls lit up across the country. One collector even said, "If another one turns up, I'll pay anything." And he wasn't exaggerating. At auction, one of these no-mint mark 1978 pennies sold for nearly $1.4 million. Imagine that. A single coin that could have vanished in a vending machine, rescued from pocket change, now worth more than a house, more than 10 houses. You see, every penny struck in Philadelphia that year was supposed to carry the mint's P mark. Every penny from Denver had a D. Every San Francisco proof had an S. That's how the system worked. But once in a great while, a minting die slips through without its mark. A once-in-a-lifetime error. And when it happens on a year like 1978, that tiny oversight creates a treasure unlike any other. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. No one knows how many of these 1978 no-mint mark pennies are still out there. Are there 10? 5? One more? Maybe none at all. The uncertainty fuels the fire. Every time a coin jar gets dumped on a kitchen table, there's a chance, however small, that a life-changing penny is sitting inside. Here's the secret. Pull out any 1978 penny. Look just under the date, on the front with Lincoln's portrait. Normally, you'll see a mint mark, a small letter D or S. If it's missing, don't panic. Sometimes, heavy wear or dirt can make it look like the letter has disappeared. That's where most people make the mistake. You need a magnifying glass. Under close inspection, a worn coin will still show faint traces of the mint mark. But a true no-mint mark error has nothing at all, just smooth, untouched copper where that letter should be. Because this exact penny, a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln, has changed lives before. It shocked experts. It sold for over $1 million. And it could be hiding in plain sight, sitting in a jar, lying in your wallet, waiting for someone bold enough to notice. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.